Hello and welcome to Shoebox video blog. My name is Finn Allen. I'm a senior product manager here, and I'd like to introduce you to Anna Trotter, a clinical scientist at Chime Social Enterprise. And I'd like to start by asking, could you share a little background information about your business, how long you've been doing business, where you're located, and anything else you'd like to highlight that's special about Chime Social Enterprise?
Sure. So we are located in the southwest of England in Exeter, and we cover a patch across East Devon in terms of offering NHS services. So we were the NHS existing provider as part of the acute hospital, and we spun out as a social enterprise coming up 10 years ago, so back in 2011. So as a social enterprise, we are separate from the main hospital, but our main source of income is from NHS contracts. So we provide services for adults and children in hearing and balance care. But we also have a commercial arm. So we provide commercial products and hope to make the service a wee bit more holistic by offering what perhaps the NHS doesn't, and then any surplus from the commercial arm is reinvested to benefit the NHS side of it. So
fascinating. And how is that all hearing related?
Yeah, so it's paediatric testing and rehabilitation, and same for adults, hearing and rehabilitation. We look at bone anchored hearing aids as well as standard hearing aids. We deal with balance, diagnosis and rehab. So it's all aspects of audiology, really.
Okay, no, it's really interesting. So could you explain a little bit? I understand that you've been using Shoebox Online to help with home patient triage in response to COVID-19. Could you explain the challenges of the pandemic, which caused your business, and how this online solution has supported you?
So when the pandemic came about, everything was shut down, really. The hospital appointments, other than for acute cases like accident and emergency, was just closed. So when we were allowed to restart, we were told that we could do so with very restricted footfall to the hospital, and we had to really seek any way in which we could reduce footfall. But we still wanted to be able to serve the same population that we were already. So it's a bit of a challenge. How do you see people without seeing them? So we started to look at Shoebox as a solution, mainly in dealing with our reassessment patients to start with, so that we could ask them to do a test at home, which we could then compare to previous tests that we had from usually about 5 years ago. Any tests that were roughly the same, or perhaps seeing a little bit of bilateral decline, we could safely go on and do a remote hearing aid fitting for them. So we could complete the whole pathway without needing to see them, which was great. And it also allowed us to help any new patients who perhaps had been told to shield. So we would still get referrals. And I mean, gosh, people have been shielding for a year. So had we have got a referral quite near the start of the year, we wouldn't want to just ignore that and not see those people who are perhaps struggling with hearing. So we needed a way to allow them to access some sort of service until we can safely see them.
That's fascinating. In that whole process of, a patient is referred to you, if you could tell me a little bit about how you capture the details about that person taking the test, and then what happens to them post-test.
Okay, so we use the test in a couple of ways, because we also have it on our website so that we can capture people that perhaps haven't had a referral to audiology yet who may wish to. And I think that's a really important thing. It makes a service very accessible to people in the future. But in terms of how we're dealing with the current people who have been referred to us, or perhaps are already on our books who are due for reassessment, we would speak to them over the phone or by video call. And as long as they could hear us okay for having a chat with them about what they needed, what they were looking to improve with their hearing, and taking a little bit of a medical history to make sure we were safe to proceed. We could then send them a unique link for Shoebox. We would explain to them briefly how it works, but it's quite easy. People, I think, were surprised at how easy it is. Once you click on the link, you just press the buttons and follow it. So as long as they had access to the smartphone or laptop or whatever they needed, and some headphones, they were good to go. And then we would get the data back with the unique link identifier, so we could identify it was that particular person that we'd already spoken to as their data coming back, and we could input that into the patient management system, have a look at the audiometric results, and then we could plan to do a remote fitting based on that. So we would, in the midst of a lockdown, we would program hearing aids up to the sort of proprietary manufacturer settings and post it to the patient. We created quite a lot of literature so that they had everything they needed to get going with the hearing aids. It was quite good, I think, supportive literature. And then we would give them a call a couple of weeks later to allow time for the post to get to them and just see, had they got the hearing aids in their ears, how were they getting on, did they need us? If they did need us, maybe we would do a video call to help them just to get the hearing aids in, or whatever problems they may have had. We could see them face to face if necessary, but actually the vast majority of patients got on fine and didn't need us as much as we thought. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, and what's been some of the feedback from the patients that have gone through this process during the pandemic?
As I would expect, mixed really. Some people have been just so delighted to have something that they could access. So I remember speaking to a lady who was shielding, and she said she has multiple health conditions, and she said, you're actually the only department that has been able to help me. The others are just waiting until I can come back. So that was nice. It was really good feedback to hear. And so many people have just said, wow, I can't believe you can do that now. That's amazing. I think those that perhaps aren't so keen to medicalize their hearing difficulties, it's not always seen as a medical type problem, and a hospital-based solution doesn't work for everyone. So it's been really good feedback from those groups. There's been a few people that have wanted and needed to see us, and we've been able to see them because it's cut our footfall so dramatically that we can see those that need us. So it's worked for everyone, really.
That's amazing. Could you tell me a little bit how easy or difficult it was to set up Shoebox when you first decided to start using the product?
I'd say it was really easy. So, we spoke to you guys from Shoebox, who've been really supportive all the way along. But actually, it was really just a case of logging into the portal and working out how you'd create a unique link and then beginning to do that. So it's really not been very difficult to set up systems. I think the harder bit was looking at how would we do that within our department, which staff would we use to do what bit. And once we worked that out, it's all really straightforward.
Now, that's great to hear. And when you think about, you said, patients have really enjoyed this experience. How do you see you using this tool post-pandemic?
So having the online hearing test on the website is great, and I think that will be used heavily going forward, because it really lets people just do a quick check for themselves and say, traditionally we've always seen a lot of people who say, I think my hearing's okay, so-and-so's made me come. It's great for them because they can check for themselves before they ever need to come. So if they need any convincing, there's the tool for it right there.
Yeah.
We've always had patients coming back in between assessments. So we'd normally assess someone, set them up with hearing aids, and they would wear those for 5 years before they'd be due for a reassessment. But we've always been happy to check hearing at any point in that 5-year journey, because obviously things change for people. So I think this will be a really helpful tool in that. We see lots and lots per week just for retests. So if they can be done on their own at home and we can just check results against previous tests, that's incredibly useful, and will really help us manage our workload. And, you know, for those reassessment journeys, I think that shift to remote working, we've seen that there are a lot of patients that just like it. It makes it easy for them. They might be working. It's a lot of time to take to come to the hospital, to park. Some patients get quite anxious coming to the hospital. So for groups like that, I can really see that having an option to do it remotely, whatever bits are appropriate to do, is great. And as long as we feel that we're working within guidelines and being safe, which, you know, we've been able to do really well so far, it's a brilliant option.
That's an amazing story and journey about how you can streamline different parts of that patient journey and add value and make it easier for each party in that. How has Shoebox helped you achieve your business goals over the course of the pandemic? And do you have any metrics that you could share with us today?
It's really helped. So we have managed to, and I can tell you this because we're right at the end of March, we have met our contractual obligations. So we obviously have a contract with the NHS commissioners. We've met what we say we would, really, in terms of numbers, which we wouldn't have been able to do whilst sticking to our agreement with the hospital to reduce footfall. So I can't think of the numbers actually off the top of my head as to how many Shoebox hearing tests we've done, but it's a few hundred, I think.
It's close to 500.
There you go.
Which is an amazing amount of people that you've been able to see additionally on top of people who are coming into the locations.
Yeah, so that's more than a month worth of testing there. So if you spread that across, then it's a significant proportion of the work, which is great.
No, amazing. And would you recommend Shoebox, and if so, why?
Absolutely. So great tool for any website. And I think that, you know, knowing what we know about making a service accessible to people is so important. And there's various reasons why people don't find things accessible. And I think we have a responsibility when providing a service to look at making it accessible for everyone. We know that when you catch a hearing loss early, you get better results if you treat it early. And we know from evidence that this doesn't generally happen. And whatever it is putting people off, we need to tackle it. So by using something like Shoebox online, on a website, I think it provides what people need and want. So absolutely from that perspective. And in terms of meeting the service requirements, I think there's lots of places it slots in. You know, we'll always want to see patients for certain parts of the journey. That's really important. But there's times when it's really just a check, has things changed? And it is fantastic to be able to do that without bringing a patient in, because so much of the time we say, no, it hasn't changed a lot. So it's great for that. And I'd definitely recommend Shoebox just because of the support we've received from the team, really. It's been exceptional, and any queries have been dealt with. And I said it's been a real pleasure to work with you all. And, you know, it's when we've asked for anything, it's just been done. So, yes, 100% would recommend.
Thank you. There's some really kind words, and thank you for joining us today on this video blog. Thank you.
Thanks.